Hey, so I'm making this video without uh, any preparation or script or idea what I'm going to say. But I said a long time ago I was going to make a video on how do I make my characters, how do I work and stuff. And I was supposed to do a tutorial, but yes, I haven't done that. I tried making a tutorial, but how do you say? Uh, First, I'm very lazy, and also it's not. I have no idea how to do it, and I'm going to explain. But I'm going to try to explain how do I make my characters and stuff. And so in advance for the big French accent, you know, I'm not a expert English talker, but I understand English. I don't talk it. So yeah, sorry if the video isn't the best quality, but I had the motivation to do it now, so yeah, let's do it now. So the question I'm getting asked a lot. The first one, I guess, is like, what software do I use? So it's Blender. You can see it's Blender. The version doesn't matter, or you can see, but it's Blender. It's 4.3.2, but you can take the last version or whatever. It's just that stuff's change between versions, and sometimes I like to keep the preference I have in my version of Blender. I don't need to upgrade right now, so it's fine. How how do I do my characters? Did I follow tutorials, stuff like that? First thing to know is I went to a 3D school for 3 years in France. I learned a lot during the first and second year, and the third, but the third was it is a story for another time. But yes, so I have a lot of basic, on 3D and modelization and stuff. But we did a lot of general stuff, so modeling, animation, motion graphics, and I decided later to like learn Blender and use Blender because I knew after school was over, I wouldn't have the money to pay the big software, 3ds Max, Cinema 4D, etc. For example, the main body for let's take this character. This is like the base body I use for a lot of the female characters. So if you just take no, wait. If we just take that, you know, how do I? Yeah. So see, this is what it actually looked like. This is what I modeled like maybe 3 years ago. It was it's not perfect, man. It is what it is. The thing is, I'm not an expert. I don't do sculpting. I do modeling. I'm not an expert at character modeling. I didn't follow any character modeling tutorials ever. Like what I did was mainly getting how do you say reference. Like for example, this is for later, but I got reference of a character right there. But I had reference of a body, and I tried to just use a cube and model it from the cube. I have it the base form like Goku base form 1, then Super Saiyan, and I always start with a cube, and then I do the extrudes. Then I'm trying to make my character from this cube, and then later I modify with modifiers and stuff, and that's the very basic. I don't do modeling. I don't do sculpting. I do. So you see, we got Stickman right there. He's very. Uh, oh well. His neck is going to be on the left, and that's a speedrun accelerated version. But yeah, this is basically what I did for a lot of my characters. The thing is, when I started, I guess it would be more easy if I show an example. Yeah, I'm no YouTuber. I'm sorry. I have to show you how I started so you understand how I did this. But for example, at the very beginning, I did not do characters. You know, this is the early stuff. So this was school stuff and things. For example, one of my first characters, I'd say, is this little thing, and you know, I knew how to make shapes, and then I move the shape where I want them to be, and then I create a humanoid form. Then you have it. And I'm a huge FNAF fan, so I also made robots. But robots was, I think, easily to make because you know you just have to make the separated parts, then you assemble them. So and it's easier, I think, to have blueprints or reference for robots. For example, none of these I didn't do myself. So if I have to show you, for example, this is also a first character, but it's not like a human character. No, it's bones, some kind of pants and stuff. And this is where I actually started to wanting to make characters myself. And then I made robots. But the point is, the first character I made was uh, this girl, and this girl was heavily inspired by the work. All my characters, when I started making characters, were inspired by the work of Boy and Kelly. Uh, this is the artist I got the most inspiration from, and I still have for how I find my art style and my characters. Like I really liked it, and I tried to like redo the same, but also different. I guess if I have one advice is if you really like something, try to do the same but different. If you want to have your own art style, because I think I don't even know myself what my own art style is, because it's just a succession of errors and stuff I couldn't do and stuff I can do. And then after I had this character, I reused kind of the base and then the base, and I did others and others, and I practice. Usually I practice. I think this one every day I made a single one, a new one. I was trying to do render every day, you know, trying different stuff. Always try different stuff, different. And I think the best example of a character I used recently, because yeah, it's this one. So this is not the same exactly. I mean, in my head it's the same because it's the same OC, but I just kept the hair. I mean, everything was so heavily modified that in the end it's not this character exactly. I think the only thing that survived, real mesh that survived, is maybe the hair, and yeah, just the hair. Everything else was just thrown away. But this is for example, this is the beginning where I literally just, you know, cube modeling, try to make the arms, legs, different stuff, and a lot of experimentation. A lot of experimentation, and I have reference. I have a lot of reference of Point Kelly, and especially things you like. Obviously, like I'm a big fan of Soul Eater, so I have a lot of reference of Soul Eater and other anime and manga. And yes, and then from this on, I don't know if I can give any advice because the character modding maybe like it's clearly not very good, but from what I remember, because this body in 3D right now does not exist anymore in my files, because this is very bad in terms of pure 3D topology and stuff. This was horrible. So this was horrible. So this meant that I had to do, you know, I had to if try to make it better. And this is where I made this fan art of the Ant character, and this body that you see is the first version of the body that is used now in my characters. This one, basically, it's like torso, arms, and thighs, but you see, it doesn't go legs, it doesn't go heads. It just stopped there, and it began it began with this character, and then so it's basically the same body I used for 3 years because I'm not going to redo every time from scratch. So this body, and then I modified it a lot during the the next 3 years. How do I get it? Okay. So, but I didn't reuse it at first. I was experimenting still, trying to get better renders, lights, textures, and yes, then I reused it. And I tried, I reused it and stuff, and yes. And I don't think, and I do not have the reference anymore. But for example, a good example of just keep practicing is this dude right there. This dude is an accident because at the very beginning I was trying to redo. I don't have the reference anymore. The artist deleted their post, so I can't find the drawing. But I was inspired by a drawing and I wanted to redo it in my style, but and I tried to do sculpting. So, but it was so bad that it turned to something else entirely different. But it gave birth to this dude, and I kind of like it. So then I totally improvised and put the eyes and yeah, he doesn't have a body. He's hollow inside. He's just a sweater and pants and stuff. But yeah, I guess I didn't give concrete techniques or stuff. But the main thing is what I'm trying to say is so how do I make my characters? It's basically like I got references and I'm trying to do my best with what I already knew. So I try to redo the shapes and because I have a lot of basic, for me it's like logic, but if you just begin in 3D or this stuff, I guess it's going to be harder. But yes, I mean, get inspired by media. I get inspired from, for example, this dude is an accident, but then from him, I created her. I mean, this version, the version before that, who is the first version of Sonita, that is this one, and this one was inspired by the sun in Solitaire. So yes, get inspiration and then try to do stuff. For example, this dude is like, I think it looks cool like in illustration and stuff, but for example, it's not the geometry and everything else is kinda horrible. So yes. And the last example I have for my characters is the most recent one that I made. Because I had a discussion with some of my friends, and I was asking them, if my work was too sexualized or stuff like that. We were talking, and after all this, I was just trying to be like, I'm just going to do another type of base body because the body I have, even though I can modify it a lot, it's still the same base. So even though I can modify a lot of things, I want to try something different, and that's when I created this this body type. And for this, I went back to the basics. So for me, the inspiration from Gwen Kelly and also another artist named um, uh, Gade Art. I don't know how to pronounce anything. And I remember I saw this. I wanted to do like very slim, thin type of character, and then I tried sculpting for the first time. I tried to like, for example, for this one, I took a cube, subdivided it, and then I tried to make the shapes one by one, and like legs, foot, thighs. And actually, the first time I tried doing this, I hated it, so I just abandoned the project, and I like I laid it somewhere. I totally forgot about it, and then a friend saw it somehow and told me that it was actually pretty good and I should continue. So then I tried again, and yes. So I think the point I'm trying to make is I don't have really a precise way of doing my characters. It really depends. Like I never thought I would create a new body type or that this dude would exist. I think the only one that were kind of control when they were created was, for example, an example, these two, like these two were improvised, and these two were kind of, how do I say, they were kind of planned, and yes, I mean, for example, the boots that all my characters have is because when I began, I didn't know how to do. The legs I made were not great and I didn't know how to do legs. So I invented this and now all my characters have it, and it's such a part of my character design now. I tried removing them on this type of characters uh, because I named this type of body just body type 2, and for example this one body type 3, because the very first one I showed you earlier is really bad. Then it was a second one that evolved until now, still used now, and then the third one that I think is the best. And yes, and this dude and the other like Clayboy and stuff. These are very easy 3D characters, so I didn't give them a name. But for example, these for Sun Eater, it was controlled uh, to a way because this version is me redoing in 3D a fan art that someone made of the original version of Senator. So it was not easy to remake, but I had reference. Always have reference, I guess. Like always have reference, even though it's not to remake exactly. Like for example, have reference of uh, Elizabeth. I'm not going to redo her exactly because personally I don't like to redo exactly the character. I like to have to do my own thing. You know, I'm gonna do my own thing. And for her, yeah, I told you this video was not planned. I have no script, no nothing. But how do I create my character design? I guess it's just a lot of inspiration from, my characters have a lot of black spikes, metal, uh, yeah, the metallic, stuff going on. I guess I'm really more focused on how they look, how cool they look, or more than like how logic it is. And for example, in terms of logic, this spike will just go straight into her body, if she was moving not carefully. So that's why I remove them here. But the more I do characters, the more I try to make sense of how they could work, not in real life, but in the world they live in. I kind of have a lore and a story for my characters. I mean, like I think any other artist, but I never show that anywhere because I don't know if it's a good idea. But as long as the character works and they look cool, I think it's fine. So yeah, get a lot of references. Don't be afraid of making mistakes and experiment a lot. Like for example, this character at the very beginning, so it's just another version of character I wanted to modify. It was just to try to do some texture paint, so make the black texture appear on her body. And yes, and all my characters are rigged, but the trick is that they are all rigged from the beginning. Like, I never remade a rig on a character since 2 years. I don't know how to do rigs anymore. It's like 2 years ago. They all have the same rig, and that's also of the reason like why I don't really change body type because it's already rigged, ready to be texture. I don't have to modify. But then I don't want to repeat myself too often. That's why I created, for example, the new one, and I try to make new stuff all the time. But I think I counted how many characters I have. I already have a lot. But yeah, so that's how that's how I wanted to try to explain kinda how I work. But if I had one more thing to say, it's just, for example, if I wanted to, I mean, that's the pretend. If I wanted to make a new character, for example, inspired from, well, I'll just, I see what I want to modify, what I want to keep, but I could just, remove everything except the base body, and then I try to modify it. For example, these two are basically the same. The hands is not the same, but mainly it is the same character, just different outfits, heads, and yes. So this is the first video. Uh, I hope I was clear enough. I think I wasn't, but this is just to try to explain kind of how I work and and stuff. I said stuff a lot of time, but maybe I try in the future to do like better, more precise video on how do I make this. I always forgot to record myself when I make characters because I'm doing like 10 stuff at the same time. But yeah, just have fun experimenting and making 3D, and it should be great and fine. So yes, that's it. And maybe I do maybe I just record another video after this one because I have the motivation on why do I make 3D, and uh, and yeah, how do I make 3D and why do I'm making this. So yeah, I hope that it helps. Uh, kinda, a little at least. Maybe it's not going to be very understandable, but I hope it. I hope it is. I hope it helps, just even a little bit. But yeah, that's also an explanation of why I don't drop a tutorial or how I have precise modeling technique for any of my characters. If you made it this far into the video, congrats. Congrats to you. So yeah, see ya.